Harry had reached out to an intermediary, a kind of mutual friend between himself and his brother, hoping that that would allow them to have some kind of conversation together.
It's never happened. This is about the Sussexes' vengeance towards this family. They want to destroy this.
Prince Harry's reported attempt to reopen communication with his brother has once again ignited debate about the true state of relations inside the House of Windsor. According to claims repeated in a recent media appearance by royal commentator Omid Scobie, the Duke of Sussex allegedly reached out through a neutral intermediary.
And so, unless the attitudes change on both sides, we're never going to find any way to resolution. I don't. No, I mean, I can only speak to when I was sort of like sticking my nose into things. And,
in hopes of arranging a conversation with Prince William. The suggestion was that Harry was seeking some form of mediated dialogue, perhaps with a third party present, to reduce tensions and move toward reconciliation. However, sources close to Prince William firmly deny that any such outreach ever occurred. Speaking publicly, journalist Rob Shooter rejected the intermediary claim outright, stating that individuals within William's circle were astounded by the narrative. According to those sources, there was no third-party approach, no back-channel communication, and no missed opportunity for dialogue. The dispute highlights a broader issue that has defined the rift between the brothers since Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020. Central to the tension is the question of responsibility. Who bears the burden of repairing a relationship that deteriorated so publicly? Prince Harry has, over the past several years, participated in high-profile interviews and published a memoir, Spare, that included allegations against members of his family, including a claim that William physically confronted him during a private disagreement. These disclosures were broadcast globally and became defining moments in the breakdown of trust between the siblings. Critics argue that reconciliation efforts cannot meaningfully begin while public accusations remain unresolved. Supporters of Harry counter that his disclosures were part of a broader effort to tell his truth and address long-standing grievances. The intermediary narrative, as presented by Scobie, suggests that Harry attempted a quieter path to resolution. Yet, without confirmation from either palace officials or independent documentation, the claim remains contested. From William's reported perspective, no such outreach was received, and therefore no opportunity was declined. Adding complexity to the discussion is the issue of security. Harry's long-running legal battle concerning his protection arrangements in the United Kingdom has been widely covered. Some commentators believe that security decisions could influence the frequency of future visits and potentially open the door to family interaction. Others view the matter as separate from personal reconciliation. What remains clear is that communication between the brothers appears minimal. Public commentary continues through media appearances, books, and interviews, rather than private dialogue. In the absence of verified back-channel efforts, the intermediary claim becomes part of the broader narrative struggle. Whether Harry is being portrayed as a willing peacemaker blocked by an unyielding brother, or whether William is responding to a breach of trust that unfolded on a global stage. For now, no formal meeting has been announced, no joint statement issued, and no visible thaw confirmed. The question remains whether reconciliation, if it comes at all, will begin privately or continue to unfold in public view. As speculation continues surrounding the alleged outreach, attention is increasingly turning toward the wider institutional context, specifically the role of Buckingham Palace and senior aides in managing family tensions behind closed doors. While public debate often frames the dispute as purely personal, royal historians note that the monarchy operates within a structured communications framework where private matters and public image are closely intertwined. Sources aligned with Prince William maintain that any suggestion of missed reconciliation attempts misrepresents the current dynamic. According to individuals described as familiar with the Prince of Wales' position, trust remains the central issue. The argument is not merely about disagreement, but about whether private conversations can remain confidential after repeated public disclosures. Since relocating to the United States, Prince Harry and Meghan have participated in media projects that reshaped public perception of the monarchy. Their interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2021 marked a turning point. Allegations raised during that broadcast, including claims concerning internal discussions about race and mental health, triggered global headlines and prompted an official response from the palace stating that recollections may vary. The phrase itself became emblematic of the divide. Royal analysts argue that William's reported caution toward renewed contact may stem from a belief that reconciliation must occur privately, without parallel public commentary. The release of Spare further complicated the matter. In the memoir, Harry described intimate details of family disagreements, including a confrontation with his brother. For aides working to protect the monarchy's stability, those revelations raised concerns about precedent. What happens if private dialogue becomes potential future publication? Supporters of Harry suggest that transparency was necessary after years of internal strain. They argue that speaking publicly created accountability. Critics counter that airing grievances in global forums undermined internal trust and hardened positions within the royal household. Security arrangements remain another sensitive layer. Harry's ongoing legal challenges over protection in the United Kingdom have highlighted questions about status, funding, and risk assessment. Some observers believe that until logistical matters, such as security, are settled, meaningful family visits may remain limited. Others insist that emotional reconciliation cannot be reduced to administrative decisions. Behind the scenes, palace communication strategy appears focused on continuity. William and Catherine continue to prioritize public engagements and charitable initiatives, signaling stability within the institution. Meanwhile, Harry's independent projects in the United States reinforce his separate path. The intermediary claim, therefore, lands within a landscape already shaped by years of narrative conflict. If Harry did attempt outreach through a third party, the absence of acknowledgement suggests either miscommunication or deliberate silence. If no outreach occurred, as William's allies assert, the narrative itself becomes another flashpoint. Experts caution that reconciliation within high-profile families often unfolds gradually and away from cameras. Public confirmation typically follows private resolution, not the reverse. In this case, however, the prolonged media spotlight complicates traditional pathways to repair. For now, official channels remain quiet. There has been no joint appearance, no coordinated messaging, and no sign of imminent talks. The question facing both sides is not only whether dialogue will resume, but under what conditions trust can realistically be rebuilt in an era where private moments have repeatedly become public headlines. While the intermediary dispute continues to dominate headlines, a parallel development has added further complexity to the public narrative. Prince Harry's ongoing legal battle against sections of the British press. Court proceedings connected to historic tabloid reporting have reopened scrutiny of his past conduct, including a widely reported nightclub incident from 2007. According to testimony referenced during the hearings, a senior journalist from the Daily Mail defended coverage of Prince Harry's behavior outside a London nightclub, arguing that the events were already widely documented at the time. The article in question described Harry stumbling from the venue and allegedly confronting photographers, an incident that unfolded shortly before he was due to deploy with the British Army. The journalist maintained that reporting on the matter was justified due to public interest considerations. At the time, Harry was an active duty officer, and questions surrounding conduct, security, and discipline were seen as relevant to both military standards and national safety. The court was told that concerns had been raised within security circles about the risks associated with his nightlife habits, particularly given his royal status. Harry's legal team, however, has argued that some coverage over the years relied on unlawfully obtained information. The broader case centers on alleged privacy breaches and media misconduct. It forms part of Harry's larger campaign against what he has described as systemic intrusion by elements of the British press. Legal observers note that the proceedings inevitably revive past controversies. Incidents such as the 2007 nightclub altercation and the earlier Nazi costume scandal have resurfaced in public discussion, reinforcing the tension between Harry's present-day image and his younger reputation. Critics argue that reopening these chapters risks undermining his credibility. Supporters counter that accountability within the press is long overdue. The courtroom exchanges have at times grown heated. Reports indicate that disputes over journalistic sourcing and professional integrity escalated during testimony, with accusations and sharp exchanges prompting judicial intervention to maintain decorum. Such moments illustrate the intensity surrounding a case that has been described by commentators as one of the most consequential privacy trials involving a senior royal. From a reputational standpoint, the timing is notable, as conversations about reconciliation with Prince William circulate. Harry's legal confrontation with British media outlets keeps tensions high. Some analysts suggest that sustained litigation may complicate efforts to rebuild trust within royal circles, particularly given the monarchy's historically cautious relationship with press disputes. Meanwhile, Prince William has continued public engagements focused on mental health and community initiatives. In a recent radio interview, he spoke openly about parenting and emotional awareness, emphasizing the importance of listening rather than fixing problems immediately. The contrast between William's forward-facing charitable messaging and Harry's retrospective legal battles underscores the divergent paths the brothers have taken. Observers caution against oversimplifying the narrative into heroes and villains. Both princes have faced intense media scrutiny since childhood. Both have navigated extraordinary public pressure. Yet their strategies for handling that pressure now appear fundamentally different. As court proceedings continue, the outcome may carry implications beyond financial damages. At stake is a broader question about privacy, accountability, and the evolving relationship between public figures and the media. For Prince Harry, the trial represents a stand against practices he believes were harmful. For critics, it reopens unresolved debates about responsibility and personal conduct. In the larger context of the royal rift, the legal drama serves as a reminder that reconciliation, if it is to occur, must unfold against a backdrop of ongoing public controversy. Alongside the legal battle and reconciliation debate, another strand of controversy has emerged, one centered on public messaging, media allies, and the question of who controls the royal narrative. In recent television appearances, Omid Scobie suggested that a gradual thaw may be underway between Prince Harry and King Charles, even if relations with Prince William remain distant. He pointed to what he described as small steps in communication, implying that improved security arrangements could make future UK visits more feasible for the Sussex family. However, palace insiders have not publicly confirmed any shift in dynamics. While King Charles has maintained limited contact with his son, no official statement has indicated a broader reconciliation process. Analysts note that in royal matters, silence often reflects strategic caution rather than endorsement. Security remains a pivotal issue. Harry's legal challenge regarding state-funded protection has drawn significant attention. Since stepping back from senior royal duties, he no longer receives automatic taxpayer-funded security in the United Kingdom. His legal team argues that his risk profile remains uniquely high due to his birthright and military service. Government representatives maintain that protection decisions are based on official role and threat assessments, not lineage alone. Observers suggest that even if logistical barriers were resolved, emotional trust would remain the larger obstacle. The royal household traditionally values discretion. Critics within palace circles argue that frequent public commentary from media allies risks undermining any quiet progress behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Prince William has adopted a markedly different public posture. In a recent broadcast interview, he addressed mental health and parenting, speaking candidly about listening to his children's emotions rather than attempting to fix them. The exchange was widely viewed as a modern, relatable moment for the future king. The interview contrasted sharply with the tone of ongoing media disputes. Commentators across the political spectrum debated whether it was appropriate timing, but supporters viewed it as evidence of William's focus on forward-looking causes rather than past grievances. Communications experts note that the royal family strategy often emphasizes continuity and service. By highlighting mental health advocacy and community engagement, William reinforces a narrative of stability. In contrast, Harry's media and legal campaigns focus on accountability and personal experience. This divergence is not merely stylistic. It reflects different institutional positions. As heir to the throne, William operates within constitutional constraints that prioritize neutrality and long-term reputation management. Harry, no longer a working royal, functions independently, with fewer formal limitations on speech. The broader question is whether these parallel strategies can coexist without further friction. Media interventions from commentators, supportive or critical, risk amplifying tensions at moments when private diplomacy might otherwise occur. As of now, there is no confirmed meeting between the brothers, no formal reconciliation timeline, and no joint initiative signaling renewed unity. Instead, public discourse continues to unfold through interviews, courtrooms, and commentary panels. What remains evident is that the royal rift is no longer confined to personal disagreement. It has evolved into a multifaceted dispute involving security policy, press accountability, institutional trust, and public perception. Whether the coming months bring resolution or renewed confrontation may depend less on televised debate and more on what happens, or does not happen, behind palace doors. As the legal proceedings and media coverage continue, the spotlight remains fixed on how both branches of the family navigate public perception and private accountability. Court hearings, interviews, and official statements have all contributed to a layered narrative, one that blends personal grievances with broader questions about royal duty and public trust. Prince Harry's recent courtroom appearances have reignited scrutiny over past incidents, including his nightclub altercation and the controversies surrounding media interactions. Witnesses, including journalists who covered the events, painted a picture of a young prince whose behavior sometimes sparked concern among security personnel and commanding officers. These testimonies underline that public and private actions are deeply intertwined, and even decades-old incidents can resurface with consequences in the present. Meanwhile, Prince William has maintained a steady public focus on long-term initiatives, particularly mental health awareness. His interviews, highlighting how he communicates openly with his children about their feelings, reflect a deliberate attempt to model emotional intelligence. These statements are widely regarded as a counterbalance to the often sensationalized media narrative surrounding his brother, presenting William as a measured figure committed to consistency and stability. Palace experts emphasize that any reconciliation between the brothers will require more than just public statements or mediated interviews. Trust, once fractured, is difficult to rebuild, particularly under the constant gaze of global media. While Omid Scobie and other commentators speculate about thawing relations, insiders stress that real progress would likely occur quietly, without fanfare or public pronouncements. The Sussexes' potential return visits to the UK, particularly if accompanied by their children, could provide opportunities for incremental repair, but they also carry the risk of renewed friction if media attention overshadows private dialogue. At the core of this ongoing saga is a clash of approaches. Harry, independent of royal duties, has embraced media and legal avenues to assert his perspective, while William, as heir apparent, is constrained by both tradition and expectation. This divergence fuels both speculation and debate, with public opinion often divided along lines of loyalty, empathy, and media influence. Security concerns remain another critical factor. The negotiation over protective measures for Harry and his family underscores the practical challenges that accompany public prominence. While access to adequate security could ease logistical tensions, it does not automatically resolve the deeper emotional and institutional rifts. Observers note that a resolution, whether partial or full, will likely require patient, behind-the-scenes diplomacy rather than headline-driven interventions. Ultimately, the situation is emblematic of the modern royal family's complex intersection with media, personal agency, and public scrutiny. Every statement, interview, and court filing contributes to a narrative that extends beyond individual personalities, touching on institutional reputation, governance, and public expectation. As both sides navigate this delicate landscape, the coming months may reveal whether private efforts at understanding can succeed alongside the very public lives these individuals lead. For now, the family remains divided publicly, with cautious signs of engagement in select areas. Analysts and royal watchers agree that meaningful progress will hinge not on speculation or commentary, but on deliberate private actions, steps that may gradually restore trust, if not erase the scars of past conflict. The story, much like the monarchy